I go by many names, one face. My name is the Neighborhood Prophet. I also go by God's Favorite. I also go by Top Cat. I also go by Megatron. But my government name is Noel. That's a very difficult question, right? Like I sat here and heard you ask everyone this question about what they create and how they do things. Man, I create a lot of different things. I'm kind of like a little bit frantic with that, and I love it, right? My life is chaos and I create within it. So I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a musician, I'm a poet, I'm a writer, I'm an author, I'm a lyricist, I'm a videographer, photographer, producer. You know, if you can create within it, I've at least dabbled in it, but I do have some favorites.
All right, so I think you're in a really cool position though as well, especially in the world that we live in today, and that you're around creative entrepreneurs and stuff. So can you tell me what that experience of you essentially being a multi-hyphenate is like? Why did you choose to dabble in everything?
Well, you and I have a different kind of relationship, right? Because I've kind of seen you grow as well, and it's very inspirational, right? I think the last thing that we kind of collaborated on together, even thinking back on it as I was sitting there, we were in like Footloose in high school, right? And like, you know, we had our songs and we danced and whatever, and it was a cool experience to like work under other people and like learn what the classics are supposed to be and like kind of develop an understanding of what the rules are, but then, you know, further myself enough to break them in very like articulate and like delicate ways too. So, you know, it's been an amazing process, like kind of navigating as like a multi-dimensional artist, because as I find myself in spaces that might not necessarily accept one skill, I'm able to do something else. Similar to what my man said earlier with like switching instruments, like, you know, I play sax recently, like I've only been playing for like the last 6 months or so. I played trombone since middle school, piano, I play bass guitar, recently started learning guitar. I sing too, you know, I just have all these different touches on the medium just because it is super expansive. And once you learn one thing, the language definitely translates as well to the next. So you can hear sort of the melodies or the way that I would sing in the saxophone, or if I'm playing the piano, you kind of hear where my voice kind of will fit in certain chords. And I've kind of just interpolated that into everything I do. So whether it goes to like designing a t-shirt or some sort of a clothing piece, whether it comes to interior decorating my home or someone else's, whether it comes to developing a website and working with like the beautiful team that I do have, you know, I've just found a way to make the best of every situation.
Right. And I think something that's also dope about you is that you always have a partner. Yeah. So can you talk about what that relationship was like to build alongside your best friend, your brother, essentially?
Yeah, so it's really dope just because I'm never alone, truly, even when I am, because I always have that support as well. It's really also a beautiful relationship too, because like we've experienced like so much together, right? Like I've been working with the same person for like the past 10, 15 years. Shout outs to Noel. You know, we develop projects all day, every day. Literally our house is designed to be creative. Like I wake up out of my bed, I yawn, I stretch, and I sit down and do something, whether it's at my keyboard on my computer or like upstairs, like actually at the keyboard. Yeah, man, it's fun, especially too, because it offers me the opportunity to learn all the time, right? Like I always constantly have like something to sharpen my skill against. So it's not like I just kind of develop this mentality that like, oh, I suck. I'm able to like check that understanding of my skill, right? And if I don't think I'm up to par, I'm able to like bounce it off of something, so I can like noodle with the chords and or play whatever I want to play and get some feedback and be like, okay, how does this sound, and get some actual honest like critique. I honestly don't think you will ever be comfortable with critique, right, as an artist, right, because it's something so near and dear and personal, right? Like it's not something for you to be comfortable with. You have to develop like an understanding that like just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean we can't do it. I know we want to like respect ourselves, and like of course you shouldn't really seek to do things that are uncomfortable, right? Like that's our way of being. But there are things that may be uncomfortable that may lift us out of our comfort zone and have us develop or enhance our ability, our perspective, or what have you. So I think it's super important to like find those experiences or put yourself in position to be uncomfortable. Like myself personally, I take every opportunity I can to do something new that might change my mindset.
Right. And so a word that keeps popping out to me is perspective and experiences. So can you tell me how life, your essence, the stuff that you've experienced has informed your creative work?
Oh yeah, I just have learned that, first of all, like, you aren't the most important person in the room, right? Like, sometimes it's okay to like take a back seat and like communicate on a level of like support. A lot of people are not comfortable with this, right? Because they want to be the number one, and if they feel like they're not if they feel like they're not like the number one, like their ideals and their values are not going to be supported, right? But that's like the exact opposite mentality to have, right? My brother, right? Somebody that I love near and dear and helps me work with my company, right? His number one motto is, if you love it, open source it, right? So if it means something to you, you should share it for free, because it's going to enhance the process. It's going to make everybody's overall experience that much better, because here we have access to something that we normally wouldn't because of you, right? And it doesn't have to be because of you, right? You just were the one to open the gate. Nobody has to know that, right? And I think that's important too. Like, being able to like have those little small personal victories within yourself to be like, hey, I can't reach an entire community, but I talked to at least 3 people that were like, yeah, I like that. I'm going to enhance my life because you said I have value. And it's not because you said I have value, it's because I do. You just recognize that. I think it's so important. And I think one more thing I want to say on that note too is that we as creatives, we don't really give ourselves the opportunity to recognize critique as opportunities to develop. We often like see it as like hating and shit. I think it's important for us to develop like healthy communication systems, because then when you do receive feedback, you'll recognize the difference between what hating is and what somebody actually like understanding your vision and wanting to support that actually means. Man, Jazz already said my shit. I was gonna be like, I inspire myself. But it's true though, right? Like, I just do things, or like I have experiences where I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Let me think about this for a moment. And then like, you know, of course I'm inspired by my parents. Of course I talk to them regularly and I bounce ideas off of them, like completely transparent with them always. Like I said, I have a partner here that I work with. Me and him always work. You know, in my relationship, I'm always constantly bouncing things off creatively as well. Sometimes, you know, they hit when I talk to my other people, sometimes they don't, and I'm able to like restructure that based on what I know and, you know, develop some sort of a mentality on where I stand as well. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you want to take account to what everyone is saying and how people are influencing you, but you also want to like have your own inner voice and your knowledge of self to develop like what you are comfortable with.
What do you hope to inspire for the next generation?
God damn it. So I took the shirt off, right? But my slogan for my company, which is Black Gold, right, is I love myself. I love being me. There's no one else I'd rather be. Because it's true, right? Like, you should recognize and value yourself. I remember doing that as a child, having like moments where I was like, man, I don't love myself. This sucks. And then just like my parents were like, yo, look in the mirror and tell yourself you love you. And I was like, that's dumb. Doesn't mean anything. But like, the act of doing that, plus what it does to your mind when you consciously think about loving yourself, changes who you are as a person dynamically. So you have this opportunity to recognize yourself and do something about it, right? If you don't like something you see, or if you're not a fan of a particular circumstance or whatever you have, you know. So the one thing I want to impart to like young people is like, love yourself, yo. Like, cause nobody else is gonna love you more than you love yourself. And if they do, it's weird, and you should probably like ask them questions.